Yep, I think we are live now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Rod from Adaptive Team, and today we're going to dive into the world of user acquisition strategies, and especially for subscription apps. And I'm so excited today because I have special guest, Pablo Perez from Admiral Media, and I will invite him in minutes here. He has a huge experience in performance marketing, and they're working with so many clients and helping them optimize their marketing campaigns and boost their subscription revenue. And they have a lot of experience in growing subscription apps also. And we'll walk through the key techniques and tactics that you can use to boost your app growth. And we'll discuss insights on optimizing user acquisition funnels and maximizing the subscribers LTV uh, in minutes. And please feel free to write your questions to the chat. I will ask to Pablo after his presentation, and we'll have a Q&A session after his presentation. Also, I'll share with you a feedback form, and please give us your feedbacks, and we can improve our future events and future topics for your feedbacks. And before we dive in, I want to share with you some updates on Adaptive site. As a revenue management platform for mobile apps, Adaptive has a powerful analytics, ML-based cohorts, predictions, and A/B testing feature to help you grow your app easily. And by the way, have you seen our new awesome feature predictions in cohorts? Not yet. Yeah, you need to see it with ML powered predictions, and you can get insights into your future LTV and revenue in cohorts. And our powerful prediction model will show you the future of your user cohorts. And also, don't forget to check our paywall builder. It's easy to use editor for creating and editing your mobile paywalls on the fly, and plus without any coding required and design required. It's almost easy. And it's really a powerful tool for A/B testing. And you can create your paywall in minutes and test it in the fastest way with Adaptive Paywall Builder. And well, as always, don't forget to join the biggest community for app developers, publishers, and marketers on Discord. We are waiting for you there, and join us, ask your questions, help others, and chat with us on Discord. And you can find the link in the comments below. And you will also find another link in the comments, our latest ebook on how to design a mobile paywall to boost subscriptions. We prepared it from 25 best working paywall examples from top grossing apps, and you'll find advice from leading experts here. And always you can get it for free. And for the last thing, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, and don't miss our upcoming events with top industry experts on our YouTube channel. And well, and now I'll invite my guest Pablo here. Hi, Pablo.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
We are doing great, and how are you?
Everything's fine here. Thanks for having me. I'm in the sunny beach of Thailand.
Yeah, looking nice. And thank you again for coming here today. You know, we've been working a lot for today's webinar, and I hope everyone will learn new insights today. And I'm really excited to hear your insights. If you're ready, we can jump your presentation.
Let's kick it off. Thanks for having me, and I hope you all enjoy the session as much as I will. And at the very end, I hope you also take some nice takeaways as homework.
Okay, I'm sharing it then.
Great. Yep. Let's kick it off then. So let's cover a little bit or talk about a little bit what we are going to cover today and who I am. I'm basically Pablo Perez, Performance Marketing Director at Urban Media, currently based in Thailand, in the sunny and shiny Thailand. I have 11 plus years of experience in online marketing. I'm a very data and detailed orientated person. And I like to define myself as curious as cats, because I really like to play with almost every feature that the ad networks release out there. So whenever I go into the ad network and I see a box or a pop-up coming through, I got excited and I try to click on learn more button, because this is how I usually learn. And I like to learn from experience, right? So the more you play with the ad networks, or the more you play with the features out there, then the more insights that you can take. And today we'll be covering a little bit about the today's subscription app landscape and value proposition and target audience, which is, I expect those 2 bullet points to be covered by you, because if you're running user acquisition actions to your subscription app, then I assume that you did the homework already and those things are covered. So I won't be spending too much time there. And then I will be moving towards the more juicy content today, which is channel selection, ad content type, popular ad network tricks, and then the creative testing framework in this privacy-centric era. So as I said before, I hope you, at the very end of the session, you have some good takeaways to try to optimize your user acquisition funnels, try to leverage your marketing campaigns with different or new testing ideas, and try to maximize your users' LTV at the end of the day. So let's kick it off with the subscription app landscape. We can't deny that this is a thriving business model that actually offers recurring revenue because ideally we want users to renew their subscription. So the idea of recurring revenue is in place there, and it also gives us the possibility to create a long-term relationship with customers, and it also presents us the chance to grow somehow, right? Of course, this comes along with some benefits and challenges that we'll be covering in the next slide. For example, it's very, sometimes it's, one of the benefits that we have is that we might have sometimes predictable, and I say sometimes because, again, it depends on the new users that come in and also on the churn rates that we have. But the idea is to have a recurring and predictable revenue stream. As I said before, we can also establish or enable a good relationship with our clients by becoming or trying to them to become loyal and engaged clients. It also presents the opportunity to upsell and cross-sell. So if you have different memberships, subscription memberships, you can also upsell them. And if you have other subscription apps, then you can also cross-sell them. It also comes along with the ability to offer customizable experiences and tailored content if you get to know your audience. But the pain point here is that it might also have some challenges. There is too many apps out there, so the competition is incredibly high in this industry or pricing model. So, which also relates to the 3 points below. It has, if we have too high user acquisition costs compared to our LTV or users' LTV, then the business won't be sustainable in the long run, right? So we either need to increase our users' LTV or try to reduce user acquisition costs, which is basically what we're trying to achieve with these ideas I will be sharing with you. Then the user skepticism and subscription fatigue. Users might have had a bad experience before with different subscription apps, so this might also prevent them from trying different subscription apps or being a bit skeptic on that matter. It could be that they might find free options out there or similar options to the ones that we are offering. So why they would pay for something that they can use for free, right? And then the last point here, or the last challenge, would be they need to stand out and really provide something that really adds value to our users, right? For them to download the app and afterwards pay for the subscription. So when it comes to value proposition, you really need to understand what your unique selling proposition is, what pain point you are solving for your clients, or how much value are you adding to their daily life, and basically this will make them choose your app against or over the competitors that you have. And you also need to ask yourself, is this something that can prevail in the long run, or is it something that only solves in the short term? Does it only add a benefit in the short term for the user? Because if not, then they either will cancel the trial, because that's enough for them to know if this will add value or solve their pain point, or they will cancel their subscription or not renew it, which is not what we want here, right? So when it comes to target audience, again, this is one of the basics of marketing. You need to really understand and think and put your audience's suite or your target persona suite, right? So you need to think the way they think. You need to understand what their preferences and habits are. They need to understand how they engage and how you can reach out to them. The basic things as well as such as age or gender or location, including demographics. I won't be covering that much today, but you need to really understand how to reach out to them, how to find the users, and how to try how to make them convert. Right? Are those users using TikTok? Are they using Pinterest? Are they using Instagram, for example? Right? So once you identify it, you will be able to craft personalized messages to produce relevant content for them and also offer compelling benefits to them, right? Moving towards the most juicy part of the webinar today, let's kick it off with the channel selection and content type. So this is actually one of my favorite slides today because it really kicks off your user acquisition journey from my perspective. Everything that you do afterwards will be related to the channel that you select. So there are too many ad networks, paid social, search, paid search networks as well out there. So you really need to understand what each of them could offer and see if there is a good fit between or a good match between that ad network and your audience, right? So a couple of things that you could analyze are the targeting options. Can I target female separately from male users, for example? Can I do interest or lookalikes targeting? Can I use my first-party data to upload it to the ad network and try to find users similar to those ones? What are the features and updates that those channels are usually sharing? Are they actively trying to improve their performance or targeting or features that they share with us? What are the ad networks? Because this will completely or directly actually impact in your content production. Do I need 10 different dimensions for that single ad network, for example? This will also impact in the efforts that you will need to put on content production or creative production. When it comes to costs, you can analyze CPMs and CPC. So this is super important at this stage because you don't really have too much information about how your ads will convert, right? So at the same conversion rate throughout the funnel, the cheaper the traffic metrics, the cheaper the KPIs, the down the funnel KPIs you will get, right? Cost per install, cost per trial, cost per subscription, whatever. So basically, at this stage, you can analyze CPMs and CPC, right? And then you need to make a decision. And afterwards, you will see if the conversion rates usually are good enough to try to transfer those cheap traffic into really good insights and good conversions to your app. Tracking, from a tracking perspective, this is usually solved through the MMPs, which is the tracking solution or attribution model or attribution tool that subscription apps are usually using, but you can also use server-to-server tracking, for example, right? So you need to understand how you would be able to track conversions through the ad network that you are interested in. And the last one, but not least, competitors is also a good starting point to start analyzing the ad networks that might be a good fit for your audience. Let's say if a competitor is investing on a specific channel for more than 3 to 6 months, then it might be because it's paying out for them, right? So we can assume that it might also pay out for you. So definitely this is something that you need to also consider. Once you select the channel, you need to start thinking about the content production, right? And this needs to be completely aligned to the channel that you selected. You might have heard a few times already that not every single creative type might work for every ad network out there. For example, TikTok works very nice with TikTok-friendly creatives, which are more related to influencer content or user-generated content, which might not necessarily work for Taboola, Reddit, for example, which are completely different. Or usually what works there is a completely different approach when it comes to content production there, right? And my personal suggestion here is to try not to get crazy about testing too many channels at the very beginning. Just pick 5 first, then try to narrow it down to 2 or 3, and start using what I call, what I usually do, which is basically win or flight strategy, right? So you either win the channel, meaning that it starts paying out and the results are there, but you don't get crazy if results are not there at the very beginning, right? You need to make sure that you are really putting all the efforts to try to make things work into that particular channel. And if it doesn't work, then fly to another channel. It's also fine, right? One of the user acquisition tasks from a strategic perspective is to try to identify where we don't need to put effort anymore on one specific channel, right? If it works, perfect. If it doesn't work, let's try to make it work. If it still doesn't work, then let's try to find other solutions. This will take us long minutes today, the popular ad networks tricks, and I'm only focusing on TikTok, Meta, and Apple Search Ads today, because it will be impossible to cover all the ad networks out there, and these are the most popular ones, at least based on my experience. So today we're going to cover the campaign types we can use in each of them, and also the different testing ideas for ad campaigns mainly today. You will see here at the top right hand of the table, test, test, test. This is definitely key. The more you test, the more chances to succeed and improve your current performance. If you enter into the comfort zone and status quo, then it's really hard to make things work, especially when the creatives might create this ad fatigue thing, which you might have heard as well of. And this is real. I mean, CTRs after 2 or 3 weeks of the same creative will start decreasing, right? And this will impact the whole conversion funnel. So let's kick it off with the paid social, TikTok and Meta, and also other paid social networks. Usually they have different names, but the campaign types are usually the same. So we have usually one app promotion or app campaign. Then we have some lead campaigns, some website conversion or sales, engagements or video views, awareness and reach, or on traffic, right? So the names are slightly different, but the objective of the campaign is pretty much the same there. On Google Ads, we also have these app campaigns, which are former UAC campaigns, which were transferred or transformed into app campaigns for installs and app campaigns for engagements. Then we also have the usual campaigns for web conversions, like search, YouTube, or display, and then PMAX as well. So you will see some of them highlighted in bold, especially app promotion campaigns and the second bullet points. So they are basically sorted from highest priority to lowest priority. The lowest ones, I would not bother to try them out, to be honest, from a performance perspective or user acquisition perspective, because they are not really useful from my perspective, or at least based on my experience. So let's try, first of all, to crack those app install campaign or app promotion campaigns, and then move towards the other ones once you either prove them to work or they are not working, and then you would like to try different things out there. When it comes to Apple Search Ads, we have 4 different campaign types, basically, which are search results, which are usually the most or the highest performing ones, because these show or include some user intent, already users actively searching for something for the search results ads to display or to pop up. The other 3 today tabs, search tab and product pages, which are not exactly the same or are completely different thing actually from custom product pages. Those 3 latter campaigns are more towards a push promotion there. So you are actively showing something to the users as a display ad, rather than users actively looking for something, right? So going back to the top of the table there, I have included a few things to test, or actually a couple of things to test in each of them. And again, paid social usually have similar things there with different naming. For example, Android Smart Performance campaigns or SPC are the automated solution that TikTok offers for Android campaign types or Android operating system, which are pretty much the same of Advantage Plus or former AAA campaigns in Meta in particular. So we are basically letting the algorithm decide and do its magic on which targeting or which audience or users to target. So we don't really do age targeting there, or gender targeting, or even interest targeting. We just let the algorithm play with their AI tool internally. On TikTok, we also have this iOS app profile page, which has nothing to do with the functionality of custom product pages in Apple. It's actually a page that is displayed while the ad hasn't finished. So let's say I'm a user, I'm playing with TikTok app, and I see an ad, and before the ad finishes, this profile page will show up. And this includes somehow similar, or at least you can customize it in a similar way to the App Store page or a custom product page, but the functionality is completely different, right? Because the user is not clicking on it and then landing it on the profile page. It's just showing it up while the user is seeing the ad. But you can also add screenshots. You can also add descriptions, number of downloads, or social proof like reviews or rating of the apps. Then we also have this ACO, which is the acronym of automated creative automation, creative optimization, which is the similar or exactly the same thing that we have for Meta as DCO, dynamic creative optimization, which basically will let the algorithm again play or combine or come up with a combination of assets or ads based on the inputs that we are giving to the platform, right? For example, if we add 2 videos and 2 copies, then the platform will create out 4 videos, right? For ads. So it will be video 1 and copy 1, video 2 and copy 1, video 1 and copy 2, and video 2 and copy 2, right? The 4 combinations. Then we can also try auto versus custom targeting. And here the auto targeting or automated targeting is pretty similar to Android SCP. And in this case, the auto targeting is available for both iOS and Android. But there are some slight differences. For example, in the auto targeting, we can't exclude audiences, for example, while in the smart performance campaigns, we are able to do that, for example, right? On the contrary, on the auto targeting type, we can create more than one ad set. So if you want to play with different ad sets, you can do that. But on the smart performance campaign, you can't. You can only use one ad set there, right? Of course, in the custom targeting is similar to the manual campaign we have in Meta, where you have everything completely under control. You can target different age groups, you can target different genders, you can target specific interests and keywords also in TikTok and those kind of things, right? And the most important one from my perspective is Spark Ads in TikTok. This, and I will also be sharing a few results after this slide. Spark Ads is basically the way you can promote organic posts from an organic page, right? So let's say I'm an influencer, I post organic content based on your briefing as an ad, as an advertiser or as a company or brand. Then you brief me something, I prepare the ad, which is or the content or video. Actually, it's not perceived as an ad because it's organic content, and it starts getting organic traction, right? So I can share internally a code with the advertiser, and then the advertiser can use that same organic post as an ad with all the organic traction behind. So this is why it's also super relevant. So if the organic traction is good enough, then the ad will also be good enough, and conversions will be probably or performance will outperform the regular previous creatives that you had, right? It doesn't mean that every single Spark ad, please don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that every single Spark ad that you test will be a new winner or outperform the previous ads that you had, right? It's just a way of warming the creative app and then putting it live as an ad. When it comes to Meta, again, I will discuss already Advantage Plus versus manual targeting. We can also try deep linking and custom product pages. Deep linking is super useful for retargeting, to be honest, especially for Android. For iOS, as you know, after the cut of IDFA and the privacy-centric world, we don't have too many good options for retargeting, or effectiveness of retargeting dropped a lot. But for Android, it works really good, and you can also use deferred deep linking if you are focusing on user acquisition directly or prospecting campaigns and not retargeting audiences. DCO, we already explained it. Then we have also advantage placements versus manual. Personally, I like to try, or I usually use manual placements because there are, sorry for the words, but there are a few shitty placements in Meta, right? So usually the ones that work are Facebook and Instagram placements, feed, stories, reels, and those kind of things. But when it comes to the ad network that Meta works with behind, it doesn't really perform well. And in any case, it doesn't really get too much spend. So I usually prefer to exclude those audiences straight away or placements straight away. And then instant experience landing is a similar, well, it's not similar to profile page on TikTok, but you can basically send users to an inbuilt or in-platform built landing page. Instead of sending them to the App Store directly, you can put something in between where you could explain the user what the app is about and explain more in detail what a promotion, for example, if you are advertising a promotion there, right? To be honest, I haven't played with that one very much, because the more layers we put into the user acquisition funnel, the conversion rate needs to increase to keep the balance, right? And keep the cost per install and cost per action in a cheaper level. When it comes to Google Ads, to be honest, this is the least, or the ad level where we can customize things the least, to be honest. So a couple of things that you can do is try video-only campaigns, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but usually in the app campaigns in Google, you need to include copies mandatory, and then you can optionally include videos or creatives, or sorry, videos or images. In video-only campaigns, you basically don't need images, you don't need copies, you just need videos, right? But this needs to be done through an account manager or a key account manager, because they need to toggle something in the backend. Otherwise, it's impossible to do it. So if you don't have a key account manager, this option is not doable for you. But to be honest, at some point, this might be worth it, because in the regular ad campaigns, if your bidding is not high enough, then you might not be reaching out to video inventory. So you can actually, in the Google Ads interface, you can double check where the spend is going. And if you go into asset level, you can also see if your videos are spending or not. So if they are not, then this option might be, or this feature might be a good option for you. Then playable ads. This usually works really good for gaming, especially in Google Ads, because of the inventory that Google Ads has. And to be honest, I don't have too great case studies here or success history here or stories here to tell, but I just launched them in a dating app a few days ago, and I'm still gathering results. So I will keep you posted through on my LinkedIn. But I think that we made a very compelling ad there that could work better compared to the regular videos or regular assets there. Then we can also try different event source optimization, Firebase against the MMP, or a Firebase against any other event source that you might have, right? Server to server, for example, and those kind of things. Usually Firebase works the better, and this is one of the best practices that Google account reps share. And this is also my experience. So I tend to use Firebase events, but why not trying it out, right? Then in app campaigns, if you are using Firebase events, you can also make use of the audience exclusion feature, which is something that again is only available if you use Firebase events. Which, for example, it might make sense to exclude users who already subscribed, right? So let's say I'm targeting users or running a campaign for user acquisition, optimizing towards subscription. Then why targeting users who are already subscribed, right? You can create your own list of users and try to exclude them. So you don't target them and try to pursue or try to make them place an action on your app that they already did. You're wasting your money there, basically, right? And account level negative keywords, actually a very recent feature that I'm not sure if it has been fully rolled out, but I have seen it live for some of our clients' accounts. So, and this is mainly thought for brand terms, right? So in app campaigns or PMax or YouTube and display campaigns, you can't really exclude keywords. And you don't know how those campaigns will perform if you were not bidding on your own brand keywords, right? So this is something really cool to test. And to be honest, we have been asking this for this to Google like for ages, since app campaigns have been there. And finally, it seems they heard us and they rolled it out. It's very recent, and I don't have any. Unfortunately, I don't have any news to share, but I will be also launching some tests soon for some of my clients. And if you also have a catalog of products that you would like to display, usually this is mainly for e-commerce. But if you have some products to display, you can also use the data feed. This is not a very useful feature for app campaigns, though. And there are a couple of things that you could also test when it comes to like in different platforms, right? In all of them, TikTok, Meta, and Google Ads, and any other paid social networks, you can try web-to-app campaigns where instead of sending users to a regular App Store landing page, you can send them to a website. And then from that website, you can, again, explain to the user what your product or service is about, what your offer is about, and try to pursue them to download the app with a call to action, and send them to the either App Play Store or App Store, depending on their operative system. And this have actually a couple of benefits, like, for example, better tracking in iOS. You don't rely on Scan network for iOS web-to-app campaigns. You rely on regular attribution because it works through UTMs, and usually the MMP networks, sorry, the MMP companies or brands have this solution in place where they take the UTMs from the campaigns, from the link, campaign UTM, ad set UTM, and ad UTM. So the tracking works really nice in iOS. You can also try event optimization, different biddings, like for example, install versus sign up, install versus subscription, or you can try lowest cost compared to a bid cap or target cost, depending on which channel or ad network you are optimizing or advertising on. Then you might have different bidding options. Then creative testing is something really, really key from my perspective. Creatives are usually 80 to 90% of our performance. So I will be covering that also in the next few slides. And then you can also try prospecting versus retargeting audiences in different campaigns or on different ad sets to try to understand how the retargeting audiences can convert into your desired action in the app. When it comes to Apple Search Ads, there are not too many things to test, but if you have a proper setup in place, I really assure you that this could have some really nice numbers and nice performance. One of the things you can test are exact match versus broad match keywords. You don't have phrase match here as you have in Google Ads, for example, for search campaigns. You only have exact match or broad match. But the broad match are really tricky because it can trigger anything related to that specific keyword, even though you might not think of that, right? So one of the best practices is to structure campaigns on only using exact match. And if you want to identify or try to get new keywords or search terms that could be relevant for your subscription app, then launch a separate campaign using broad match keywords or the search match toggle on, the search match filter toggle on, which basically will let the algorithm try to explore the options in a keywords perspective. And then the usual known custom product pages is also something that is really important. So I told you it was going to take us long minutes, this particular slide, because I was trying to cover every single detail in the different ad networks here. But you might be asking yourselves, hey, where do I start testing from, right? And I have some interesting numbers to share with you, so you get an idea of what things to test first. On TikTok, we have seen CPA reduction of 21% for some of our clients, and an improvement of 23% in conversion rate from click to the in-app action that we were targeting using smart performance campaigns for Android. On Spark Ads, we have seen this many times, to be honest, but the biggest success we achieved there was the CPI reduction of 55%. And also that was on a meditation app. On a dating app, we saw the reduction of 50%, so half CPI using specific Spark Ads. And we also got a reduction of cost per sign up of 50% as well. When it comes to Meta, deep linking for retargeting, sorry for the misspelling there, but this is not something that we usually think about when it comes to the first thing we want to test. And to be honest, this is, from my perspective, one of the key performance improvers when it comes to Meta. Again, deep linking for retargeting ones. You can also use them for new users or user acquisition. But in this case, you will need to use deferred deep linking. But in this particular one, we saw 23% in decreasing the cost per purchase or cost per subscription. In Google, again, we don't have too many things to play with, but again, video-only campaign types might be a good start. But the event source, again, using Firebase events when it comes to campaign optimization, we have seen like an improvement between 10 and 15% in upper funnel metric like cost per install and cost per signups, which also are transferred down the funnel to cost per subscription or cost per trial. When it comes to upsell chats, again, we don't have too many things to play with here, but custom product pages, please try them out if you think the strategy in a good way, and you create specific screenshots and videos for those custom product pages. I can assure that the CPI will go down heavily there. We have experienced a CPI drop between 40 to 62% for some of our clients. If you have questions about this, please drop your questions in the chat. I will be trying to cover them in the QA section we have afterwards. So this is also my second favorite slide, or actually topic today. Let's deep dive on the creative testing in the privacy-centric era, and please, let's try not to run away when you see these test cost comparison numbers. I'm trying to be super extreme here for you to understand that there are too many approaches that you can play with, and each approach, and the approach will have a direct impact on the cost that you will need to assign to budget as budget for creative testing, right? So in the first row here, we see again, this is the cheapest the cheapest scenario where we are getting the cheapest geo, cheapest operating system, a very upper funnel event compared to the one below where we are going for the iOS, which is usually the highest or the most expensive, OS. We are also going very down the funnel when it comes to optimization in the campaign level, which is subscription in our case. The number of assets needs to be exactly the same, because otherwise it will be very hard to compare approaches. Here I took the average cost per action, again, randomly based on some benchmark numbers that I have from my clients. So this is basically the cost per install we can get in cheap geos like India or Philippines, for example. And this is the cost per action we could get in the US, for example. The number of weekly results we want to get per asset or per asset group. And this will have, again, direct impact on the weekly and monthly costs. So we can go from a weekly cost of $105 or euros to a 15K. You can see the difference, right? And then we also extrapolated it to a monthly cost. So you might be asking yourselves, do I need to spend either or? Completely, the answer is completely no. There are too many approaches and options in between. And this is something you need to define. Of course, we could, as experts, we can help you out with that. But you better need to deep dive on the different approaches I will be covering today, and different questions you will need to answer to yourselves, and then come up with your best testing structure. So first of all, you will need to define three main pillars, which are affordability, production, and objectives. By affordability, we need to ask ourselves what my budget is. You need to, based on your monthly budget, you need to allocate a percentage, maybe 10, 20, 30% to creative testing. And then you need to think if you can sustain that in the long run, right? Because this needs to be an ongoing thing. You can't really test creatives on 1 week or 1 month and then stop it and then rely on the ongoing creatives, because the performance will drop. I can assure you that. The second pillar will be production. How many assets could I deliver per testing period? Let's say I want to test things per week. How many creatives? Is it 10? Is it 5? Is it can I produce UGC content, influencer content, motion design? Can I only produce statics? Can I do playables, for example, right? So you need to be aware of your limitations and what things you would be able to produce, because this will be also super important when grouping creatives per concept, per approach. I will be covering that in the next slide. And then this one is, from my perspective, the most important one here. You will need to have your objective clear. Do you want to get only new winners? Is that the only thing you want? And are you fine with just getting new winners that outperform the old creatives or ongoing creatives? Or do you really want to understand and get insights on why one creative worked better than the other one, right? And this is something, again, different approach. There's no right or wrong answer here. So once this looks like a bit of a maze, please don't get scared. It's pretty much straightforward. And you will need to basically play with the things I was showing to you in the previous table, where I was comparing Philippines to US cases, for example. Once you define your three main pillars, you will need to decide either, I like to call it a fair test, or rely on the algorithm's magic, right? And this is also related to the objective. So usually, if you just want winners, then you can do you can let the algorithm do its magic by allocating the manage and pushing the credits the algorithm thinks could perform better. But if you want insights on every single creative or every single approach you're testing, then you will need to go to a fair test and basically upload each creative group or creative itself into one single ad set for the algorithm to, or for the system to spend evenly, the budget evenly across different creatives, right? Let's put a clear example. Let's say I have 6 creatives, right? I could test those 6 creative one in each single ad set. So I could allocate $100 per week to each single creative and ad set. So by the end of the testing period, I will have the same amount of spend, and then I will see if I have enough data on installs, on CTRs, on video views, on cost per subscription, depending on what I'm testing, to make a decision and see if I can take winners out of it. A different approach would be to upload the 6 credits in the same ad set, and I would allocate the same 100 euros on a single ad set in this case. So you can see that the testing approach or the cost for the different approaches is completely different, right? Or I could, for example, identify, let's say, 2 different approaches, creative approaches, right? So it could be 2 UGC creatives, 2 static creatives, 2 playables, right? So I could group them together, and out of these 6 creatives, I could upload 2 and 2 in 3 different ad sets, right? And again, the testing budget also changes there. So once you have this cleared, you will need to ask yourself which channel is the best option to test it in, which is the geo I want to test it in, which is the operating system, right? So again, Android is super cheap compared to iOS. So can I take the same learnings from Android and apply them to iOS, for example, right? If the answer is yes, then testing things in Android might make sense to you. Similar question to about geolocation. What optimization events do I want to optimize here for? Is it install? Is it trial? Is it subscription? The down the funnel you go, the more expensive the testing approach or the budget that we'll need to assign to the test will be. You will need to calculate your average cost per action or cost per install, depending on which event you chose for optimization. And then you will need to see, again, based on the second pillar I was discussing before, the production, you will need to identify the number of assets that you can deliver per testing period and how you want to group them, right? If it's, again, grouping them by approach, testing them all separately, testing them all together. How many results am I happy with per asset or per asset group? Is it 100 installs? Is it just 100 euros? Is it 1 million impressions, right? So you need to define some KPIs to make the calculations, and then finally you will come up with an estimation of the test cost. And if this estimation is more or less on target compared to your budget, then let's go and test it. Go and test it and use that framework for your future tests. If it's not affordable, then you need to rework, going back to the 3 pillars and start all the process again, right? You will need to switch to cheaper solutions there. Again, some tricks here could be going up the funnel when it comes to optimization events. It could be testing cheap geo locations, grouping things together, reduce the number of results we desire per asset or per group, per testing period. So once you have your framework in place, then you can move to the next step, right? And actually kick the testing, keep the test on, or kick the test off. And again, as I said before, there is no right or wrong answer here. It's just different approaches with different costs, of course, and that fits each situation better. So you need to analyze your budget, you need to analyze your situation, you need to come up with your goals and come up with a budget, a testing budget. And then, as I said before, if it's okay, then you press the green button and publish everything. And if not, then you need to rework it. A couple of some pro tips here. iOS after in this privacy-centric era, iOS testing becomes a headache, to be honest. So I tend to prefer to test things on Android because usually what works in Android usually works in iOS. But if you don't have any other choice because you don't have an Android app, for example, or if you want to test things in both OSs or only in iOS because of whatever reasons, then we have a couple of tips here. So we can actually check CTRs for early performance information or insights. You can check CTRs. You can check 3-second video view to impression ratio. Of course, the higher the better. You can check 50% video view completion or 75 video view completion to impression ratio as well. And whenever you finish the test, and this is something super important because of the scan 3.0, which is the current version, the postback delays, you need to wait until or between 2 or 3 days. After that period, you will get 90-something% of conversions already reported, right? This might change in the scan 4.0, which is probably coming very, very soon. We heard that Meta, for example, will be testing it or releasing it by mid-July. So definitely, this might change the way we analyze numbers on iOS. So you will probably need to rely on upper funnel metrics in this case, or traffic metrics, as I shared before. And also, I want to share my personal opinion in this fair test or let the algorithm do its magic here. I tend to prefer the latter because fair tests are usually not fair because there are too many variables that can affect the data, right? Such as placement, age, gender, interest. So let's say that a specific ad has been displayed to half and half when it comes to gender split, but the second ad has been targeted 60% to female audiences and 40% to male audiences, right? Is the best performing of the second ad coming from the ad itself, or is it because of the gender targeting, right? So this is could be a little bit tricky, to be honest. And also, it's very hard to understand sometimes why a creative worked or outperformed the other creative, right? So imagine yourself doing this on a weekly basis or on a bi-weekly basis for 10 creatives or 20 creatives that you are testing. Are you going to deep dive and try to understand why each single creative got 10% CTR compared to the ongoing ones? This is, from my perspective, is a bit tricky. And the latter, and the last reason from choosing Let's See the Algorithm do its magic is because it's cheaper, right? And you can get conclusions faster. So it was a long session. This was my last slide for today. So I hope you are all there still. So I will be giving the mic to Murat in this case, who will be covering the Q&A section. So I'm all ears.
Thank you, Pablo. It was really nice insights. But I was checking the chat, and chat is so silent now. I guess maybe we can wait a minute for if we have.
Feel free to drop any questions about the different testing ideas that you have in the different ad networks, or if you have any questions about, hey, is it good to test in cheap countries or compared to English tier countries, for example? I don't know. Is it good to rely on upper funnel metrics compared to down the funnel metrics, right? Any kind of question will be very welcome, and we'll try to reply them all.
Actually, I have our community questions for you.
Okay.
Do you think custom product pages help to increase conversion rates on Apple search ads? You were talking.
Yes, I do, and Yeah, we also covered that, and I also shared a good example where we saw a decrease in cost per install of between 40 and 60 something %. So definitely yes. If you think about the right strategy for your users and the keywords, especially the keywords, right? Because the custom prog page should be related to the keywords that you're bidding on, right? So it could be, for example, a meditation app. You could group your keywords based on anxiety or relaxation or meditation itself, and then the content that the users might be able to see in the custom prog page needs to be related to the keyword they were searching for or the keyword group they were searching for. So yes, this will definitely help improve your cost per install and then all the down the funnel metrics.
Yeah, and we have 2 questions on chat. First one, which channel would you recommend starting with for a newly released app?
Well, again, this is based on your target persona and where your users or the users that you want to target are, right? As I said before, today I covered TikTok, Meta, Apple Search Ads, and Google because those are usually the best performing channels. I mean, generally speaking, but we'll need to identify your case in particular. So happy to discuss that offline if you want to reach out to me through LinkedIn or whatever. So it's really hard to say. If it's generally speaking, yes, the 4 channels I shared before, but you really need to understand where your audience is.
Yeah. Another question. What UX strategy should be used for a soft launch of a new app?
For soft launch of a new app, ideally you will need to create some intrigue or brand awareness. So I usually don't like brand awareness campaigns because I'm more performance-oriented guy and I like to see results, right? So, but in a soft launch, you can't really launch performance campaigns because again, you won't be able to basically users won't be able to use the app properly or to even download the app. So brand awareness campaigns or traffic campaigns, maybe to a landing page to create these brand awareness basically. You can also make use of influencer content or because this will be super important when it comes to organic or brand awareness as well, objectives as well, right? So influencer content usually works very well organically if they're compelling enough and also performance-wise. But when it comes to soft launch, you can use performance campaigns. So it's also a good option to launch influencer content out there using again either their own profile in their own social network where they are live on, and their content in the brand awareness campaigns or traffic campaigns as well. So that way, again, you create brand awareness, and you can also launch some video views or engagement campaigns, depending if it's Meta or TikTok, for example, which have different names, but different naming, but the objective is the same. So you can create video views engagement or ad engagement, and then afterwards you can create an audience out of it. And whenever you launch the app, definitely you can target those users who engaged with your app, basically. So sorry, with your ads.
Another question: any insights on AI chat apps?
AI chat apps. Yes. I mean, I don't think that, at least not at this stage, maybe in a few months, because this is evolving very rapidly, or maybe in a few years, I don't think AI tools will actually replace marketers' job and somehow. It might help us improve some things, like, for example, competitor research or creative ideas or copy ideas. Or storytelling content. Yep.
I'm sorry, Pablo. Actually, Alex was asking about AI apps and their user acquisition strategies on TikTok and Facebook.
Oh, sorry. I understood AI chats, not apps. So when it comes to AI, again, this is related to the first question. Yes, definitely user acquisition will help you grow your user base and improve your users LTV and increase your revenue, but you need to understand what your audience, what your target audience is, right? So everything comes up to or goes back to understanding where your audience is, how you can engage with them, how you can create or reach out to them, and what are their preferences and habits are, right? So without knowing what the app is about, it's really hard to come up with a media plan out of the sudden.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. Are you analyzing the ratio of first-time subscriptions purchased and renewals? If so, what tools are you using for this analysis?
Yes, 100%. Usually user acquisition targets first purchasers or first subscribers, but the ratio, you need to understand that renewals play a big role in your app because these also increase your LTV users, sorry, your users LTV. So definitely, yes, we are checking constantly, at least on a bi-weekly or a monthly basis, not only the percentage of new users and renewals, but also the churn users, because it could be that your user acquisition or your user database is growing, right? Because you're acquiring, I don't know, 10,000 users per month, but then the churn users are also increasing, right? You're having, I don't know, 10% of churning users or 20% of churning users. So at some point, those your user acquisition base or your actually user base will start dropping because you won't be able to acquire 10K users or 20K users forever. At some point, you will need to rely only on renewals. I mean, theoretically speaking, and trying to make those users who churn convert back or make them return to your app will be completely more expensive. So you need to keep an eye on both first subscribers, renewals, but also churn rates. And where am I taking that information from? We have different data sources. The MMP is a good one if you are tracking both subscription renewals and churns. You can also use different tools out there that help you in tracking that way. And I don't want to name them because I don't want to create friction here, but there are too many tools out there that you can use for that purpose.
Yeah, and there were a question, but I can't see it now.
Maybe they deleted it.
Yeah, I guess so. I think there's no question left. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, Pablo, for your time and your presentation. And thank you all for joining us.
Thanks,
everybody.
Thanks for joining. It was a pleasure to be speaking here with you, Murat in Adaptee, and looking forward to connect with many people from the audience.
Thank you all, and we'll make a new webinar in the next month. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel to know our upcoming webinars. And yeah, see you all. Bye-bye.